In this video, we are going to talk about how to build your own gaming PC in 2023. So before starting this video, please like this video and subscribe to our channel for future updates. Picking the right parts. The most important step is choosing components that meet your needs and integrate well with one another. Selecting incorrect or incompatible PC components may result in problems, damage to other components, or delaying the ability to return the products to the retailer. In order to complete the bare-bones checklist, we'll need a casing, a processor, CPU, a graphics card, a GPU, RAM, a power supply, PSU, a motherboard, cabling, and some storage. If you don't know what does what, looking inside a PC casing can reveal a confusing array of circuits. When it comes to selecting the appropriate components, we may offer our assistance. Compatibility. Based on the size of the PC you want to build, cases come in several form factors. Less significant all around. PSU. This device transforms AC power from your house outlet to DC power for components. Must provide adequate, reliable power. 500W is typically a good place to start. CPU. For desktop processors, you can choose between AMD and Intel. Look over our best guide and make a note of the sockets they employ because you must match the socket to the motherboard. The CPU socket type must be the same for a motherboard to work. Chipset and other features depend entirely on cost and personal desire. RAM. In general, RAM with higher frequencies and smaller latencies performs better, but you must ensure that your motherboard can support the same clock speed or it will be constrained. Most modern boards are DDR4 or DDR5 compatible. For the majority of CPU, DDR4 3200 or DDR5 4800 is a good pick. Storage, totally dependent on individual needs, although installing the OS is typically advised on an SSD. GPU, this is optional and only truly necessary if you intend to play games or perform demanding tasks. Spend as much as you can in that situation. Trusted tools. Some tools you'll need to build a PC include the following. Toolkit, LED light source, flat workspace, no carpet, anti-static mat, anti-static wristband, magnetic parts tray. Installing the CPU. You would have seen I mentioned that we'd install the PSU first, but we won't do that until we're certain that everything functions. We must verify that all of our components function as intended before we assemble the PC casing. The best course of action is to unpack everything on your chosen level surface and install a few components to test rather than tossing everything into the case and finding there is a problem. For this, take out your motherboard, CPU, RAM, and power supply. Installing the CPU is the initial stage in this process, and doing so necessitates removing the motherboard from its packing as well. Whether you have an AMD or Intel chip, this process is incredibly simple. Remove the motherboard's packing and set it aside. Deck out the motherboard's cardboard box. It is secure here. Never set down on a carpet. Activate the CPU latch. Once we install the CPU, the plastic cap will suddenly pop off. Protect this, in case the motherboard needs to be sent back to the maker. Place the CPU into the socket while aligning the notches and indications. Don't press down, it should lie flush without pressure. To keep the CPU in place, close the latch. To remove the plastic cap, apply some pressure at this step. Installing the RAM. RAM is a delicate part that needs to be handled carefully. Contact with the pins on the underside of each module is advised to be avoided. On a motherboard, the RAM slots are situated to the right of the CPU. To determine which RAM slots to utilize based on how many sticks you have, consult the motherboard handbook. On the motherboard module slots, release the RAM locks. Compare the notches on the RAM module to those on the motherboard slots. Insert the module slowly and evenly all down the stick. Push down on either side of the RAM module once it has been inserted into the slot until it clicks firmly into place. Check everything works. The motherboard is now prepared to boot after the CPU and RAM have been fitted. In order to get an output from the motherboard, if you're running a Ryzen or Intel CPU without integrated graphics processing, like our 5600X, you'll also need to install your GPU here. Remove the GPU from its packaging, then place it carefully in the topmost PCIe slot. When you hear it click, press down. Although you might need to let the backplate of the GPU hang over the edge of the motherboard box, but become lie flush with the board itself, the GPU should be fine when placed on top of the motherboard. Power is all we need right now. To identify the proper connections and connectors, consult the instructions for your motherboard and power supply. Installing the PSU. The PSU is the most important part of any computer. It supplies the energy needed for all of the computational wizardry to happen. We'll need to install the unit with the fan pointing up or down depending on the case you bought. Verify if the case has a vent at the bottom to determine which is best. In that case, point the PSU fan downward. To make your job easier, you should connect all of your cords to the PSU before installing it. It could be one of the following PSU, depending on the one you bought. Fully modular, the PSU is not permanently wired with any wires. Semi-modular, some cables, often ATX and CPU power, are fixed in place. Installing the motherboard. The motherboard is prepared for installation to the backplate within the case once the CPU, cooler, and RAM modules have been attached. The I/O shield, a lengthy piece of metal with cutouts for all the rear ports and connections, needs to be installed first. This optional but highly advised accessory aids in protecting against electromagnetic interference, ME. The I/O shield should be placed over the PC case's rear cutout and clicked into place. If it is already connected to your motherboard, skip this step. To determine where standoffs need to be screwed in, levitate the motherboard on the backplate. Installing storage drives. Storage drives are crucial components that house all programs, digital media, and other data in addition to the operating system. For the primary OS partition, an SSD, whether M2 or 2.5-inch drive, is advised because it provides speedy booting and dependable performance. Traditional 3.5-inch mechanical drives can be used to store data. The quickest drives are 2.5-inch and SATA M2 drives, followed by M2 PCIe and NVMe drives. Although 3.5-inch drives are the slowest, they are the most cost-effective, especially at higher capacities. That's it for today. We hope you found our video interesting. If you did, please give it a big thumbs up and share it with others. Also, if you haven't already, please consider subscribing to our channel. Don't forget to turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any of our new uploads. In the end, thanks for watching and see you next time.